Welcome. My name is Amanda, and I'm here with Liz Prisley from Heard 'em Say Youth Arts Collective, and we are going to be doing our penultimate program of the NEA Big Read in support of An American Sunrise. So tonight's program is actually a very special program because it's actually a little bit of a part two to an in-person youth poetry workshop that we did early in the month. Liz is going to talk a little bit more about that and about getting involved with Heard 'em Say Youth Arts Collective and about poetry resources in general. So we are very excited to hear that and to see a few poems from that workshop. But before we see that video, let's go ahead and start with our book shout out. So our shout out for this evening is The Hill We Climb by Amanda Gorman. Amanda Gorman is, of course, a young poet who is making waves and getting us all very excited about poetry. She's most famous for her poem, The Hill We Climb, which was the inaugural poem in 2020. So you can find that on ebook or regular book. I've shared the link for hcplc.org/ebooks. That links to our Overdrive. We have it available as both a digital book, which is an ebook, or a streaming audiobook. And again, you can find that at hcplc.org/ebook. So Liz, welcome. We can't wait to hear from you. But before we get into your presentation, let's go ahead and start with one of the poems from the workshop on November 20th. So I'm going to go ahead and play that, and then we'll get into your presentation.
Sounds good.
I am Deuce the Black Buddha, and this is my poem, Red is My Body. People say that red is just my color. So you can find red plastered along with my existence and identity. But if I'm honest with you, it's a reminder. Red defines the aspects of my life I'd rather forget. The pain and loss of blood, too harrowing to want to remember, but I'm okay with that. I've accepted that my soul is red. I use the anger that's associated with me and my color as fuel, because my red, it's love, it's passion, it's as dazzling as some of the brightest rubies, reminding me that each day begins and ends with the color red on the horizon. It reminds me of the phoenix rising from the ashes to spread its glow. I blaze with the intensity of fire, rising as I consume the oxygen in the world into my lungs, reminding me that I woke up again once more. So yes, I am red, and I love every moment of it because red represents my lifeblood, and it will always be me and my body.
All right. So we have that fantastic poem from Deuce, who is one of our participants this year. So I'm giving him a virtual round of applause after that performance. So we had the wonderful opportunity to collaborate on a workshop that happened last month at our event space, Uptown Stage, which is hosted by the New Tampa Players, and it is inside University Mall. And so Heard 'em Say's workshop director, Zen Christian, pictured here in yellow, she facilitated a fabulous workshop on using colors to investigate emotions and experiences, likes and dislikes, pivotal moments of realization or decision, or understandings or coming to terms. And so that color workshop happened last month. And the poems we had the opportunity to record. And so that first poem was Deuce's color poem on red. So hopefully you learned a little bit about him through that lens of red. So I want to backtrack a little and tell folks more about Heard 'em Say Youth Arts Collective. So we are a local nonprofit. We were founded in 2007 by Walter Wally B. Jennings in response to a youth curfew that was implemented at the time, and so many people telling young people what they can't do, that Wally B asked the question, well, what can young people do? And so he started the Heard 'em Say open mic back in May of 2007 in response to that. And we have just grown exponentially since then and are now a 501c3. We have a staff of 4 fabulous, mostly volunteer folks. So you have me, I'm Liz Prisley, the executive director of Heard 'em Say. Then we have a workshop director, Zen Christian, who facilitated this awesome workshop picture. Then we have our creative director, Curtis Davis, and we have our mental health advocate and program coordinator, Brianna Sizik. And so this fabulous team puts on all of our programs. where our mission is to identify, cultivate, and empower young people in activism and advocacy through artistic education and expression. And so all of that to say is that we like to build stages like the one pictured there, although we didn't physically build that one, New Tampa Players did. But we like to build stages for our young people to share their work and share their perspectives in hopes of influencing positive community change. And so young people like Deuce put their experiences into poetry and perform it on stages like this one in collaboration with the Hillsborough County Libraries and other spaces around town, at our open mics, at our competition events, in hopes of influencing their communities with their lived experiences and their perspectives. So a couple of ways that we build stages for young people year-round. We do have a monthly open mic that takes place on the last Friday of the month there at Uptown Stage. We are so excited to be back in person for our monthly open mic. And so Uptown Stage is located inside of University Mall near USF Tampa campus. And Uptown Stage, hosted by the New Tampa Players, also just opened recently and is a fabulous little black box theater. And so on the last Friday of the month at 7 p.m., we have our open mic that is just for young people ages 19 and under. Most of our students are middle to high school age range. And then with the exception of November and December, we moved to the third Friday of the month to avoid Hillsborough County school closures. And so November and December, we moved to the third Friday of the month for our open mic. But all of those details are going to be linked on our website, which I know we're going to include at the end of this program, but it is heardumsay.org. And so in addition to our monthly open mic, we also do workshop programming. So Zen Christian, our workshop director, spearheads that. And starting in January, we will have weekly, bi-weekly workshops for youth ages 19 and younger, where they can work on their creative writing skills, their performance skills. And just last year, earlier this year, we launched our very first literary magazine called The Torch. And so part of our workshop season will also include the folks who will be on our editorial board, also young people, to put together our literary magazine, The Torch, which will be published in May of 2022. And so young people have the opportunity to influence and decide what goes in that magazine, decide the theme, decide the direction. They'll be reading all the submissions and choosing what to put in, assisting with the graphic design, also spearheaded by our creative director, Curtis Davis. And they get to be part of publishing that literary magazine. And then our hope is that we are in a place where we can start traveling with our young people again. So in years gone by, we've had competitive poetry slam teams who have traveled around not just the Tampa Bay area, but also Florida. Regionally, we've been to Georgia. Nationally, we have competed in places like the Bay Area of California and Chicago and Philly and DC and Texas and Vegas, and so many fun and exciting places. And so we hope that the world is in a place for us to be traveling again this next year. So we have our open mic, we have our workshop programs, we have our traveling folks, and we are so excited to dive into some of that programming. So just a quick shout out for a save the date, that our show in December is taking place on the third Friday of December to avoid school closures. And so we have a phenomenal feature. It is actually going to be Wally B, our founder, is going to grace us with a feature performance of his poetry. And then you will also catch that open mic list of young people, 19 and under. It is 100% free and open to the public, and young people can just sign up for the open mic right there at the door. So that is Friday, December 17th at 7 p.m. at Uptown Stage inside University Mall, right across from the K&G men's clothing store. So we look forward to maybe seeing some new faces and inviting you all there. If you are a student at a Hillsborough County Public High School, you should absolutely head to your Media Center specialist and ask if there is a poetry jam happening at your school this year. And the date may have passed because we kicked them off last month. But if you have missed the opportunity this year, you can definitely get signed up next year. So heard them say teaching artists head into Hillsborough County Public High Schools in order to teach full day poetry jams. You get a workshop, you get performance assistance, and then there is a jam competition at the school. And then the winner from each high school meets in January at a county-wide competition, and there are fabulous prizes for the winners. So again, if you're a Hillsborough County Public High School student, definitely go ask your Media Center specialist if a jam is happening at your school, and if not, ask why, because the county helps us sponsor, in collaboration with the Education Foundation, jams at every school. So we hope to see you there, and we also hope to see you later this month at our next open mic. All right, so Amanda, I want to kick it over to you and ask if we have any questions so far.
We do, and I do want to let anybody know who's come in after the start of the program. If you have joined us and you have any questions you want to ask or comments, you can go ahead and use your control panel if you're on a laptop or a computer, or just if you're on a phone or a tablet, there's a little question mark logo. You can tap that and submit a question. There is still time. We're going to read out some of the ones we have had come in, and then we will be on the lookout for any ones that might still be coming in. So thank you, Liz. That was a lot of information. I did share in the chat section the link to your website, where they can find a lot more of that information. And I did share the date in the chat section for the next poetry reading. So one of our questions is for maybe those shy poets out there, and I think probably I know the answer to this one, but can you just come and watch the poetry? You don't, people want to make sure you don't have to perform if you want to come and enjoy the poetry.
Yes, absolutely. We would not be successful without incredible supporters who just love to watch and snap, clap, and cheer on the folks who do get on stage. So we welcome supporters of all ages. So the show is free and open to the public for all ages. It's only young people that can get on the open mic. So if you're older than 19, you're not getting on the open mic. But regardless of your age, we would love to have you in the audience supporting our youth.
So you can bring your entourage, even if that's grandparents, parents, older brothers and sisters. Wonderful. And you can just come and watch if you want to come and see what it's about and maybe build your courage into performing.
Exactly.
We did have a question actually about the torch, which is really cool. Is that, people want to know, is that a print or digital, and can they find back copies of it if it is digital?
Absolutely. So it is in print for its first year, which was earlier this year in May. And if you head to our website, you can still order copies from this year's first running. So there is a little link at the top of our website called Merch and Mag, and you can buy copies of our literary magazine right there. In future years, we hope to explore a digital option as well. So definitely stay tuned. We are hoping to open our submissions for next year's literary magazine before the end of this year. So keep an eye on our website or our social media, and we'll be sure to shout out when that's happening.
And we are going to share that at the end of the program. We'll go ahead and bring that up so people can see it. It is also there in the chat section if you want to just click on that link. Okay, so this is I'm kind of putting together a few questions, but you and I have had this, well, we were having this conversation a little earlier. I think sometimes for whatever reason, people are not sure where to get started with poetry. They think it's maybe harder than it is, or they don't realize it is diverse as it is. There's so many different forms and types of poetry, just like there's so many different forms and types of music. So what would you recommend for somebody who, I guess, wants to get started, maybe just even learning about it, even before writing, performing? What are some resources they can access to kind of open that gateway to understand and learn and enjoy more?
Yeah, absolutely. So not to be a shameless plug, but definitely your local library. And so when you read the work of other folks, it's like my first primer whenever I want to write is always to read first. And so looking at examples that came before you, like Amanda Gorman's book for an example of another young person. Another favorite is on YouTube. You can find youth poetry there as well. So you can turn on like the educational settings to make sure you're getting like language appropriate versions if you want. But there are a number of playlists out there of like classroom friendly youth poetry that is just like one YouTube search away from you. And so I would say start there as well. And then just trust your inner creative. I think we all have one. Oftentimes you hear this fully polished poem on stage and you think, oh gosh, I could never do that. And I felt the same way the first time I went to an open mic and heard an incredibly talented performer get up there and perform their poetry. And then I went home and started like doodling in my notebook and drafting and trying. And, you know, I think it's really just that practice, and so much editing and polishing goes into the final version of what you see when someone reads on stage. And so keep that in mind as well. That is the Instagram filter, or like polished version. And so everyone starts somewhere. And I think if you just dig into the heart of what you're thinking and feeling and, you know, what stands out to you about the world, you're absolutely going to get there.
You know, that is actually very good advice too. And it's something I remember you or Christian said at the workshop, is that you're not going to sit down and write your masterpiece poem. You might write a stanza that goes into a poem, or this might be the starter. This might be a collection of words that make it into a poem. So it's not like you have to sit down and write it all at once and, you know, have it come out fully formed, because no art form does. No, you know, whether it's a painting or a novel or a poem, you know, you draft and redraft and edit, and same with the performance. You practice and you practice. You don't just get up and read it the first time. So the old adage is true: practice makes perfect. Well, speaking of poetry, Liz, it looks like that is the end of our questions for right now. Let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and remind people we're going to close with another poem this evening. So we are going to be seeing Deuce again. What a talented young poet. We were so excited that he shared 2 poems with us. But I do want to remind everybody who's in the audience tonight that if you have any questions about using the library, you know, thank you for the plug, Liz. As you were saying, you know, if you want to find poetry resources, or you want to find playlists, not playlists, but if you want to, we have a reading list right now for Joy Harjo, the National Poet Laureate, or help with finding resources that might be accessible, or just learning about the library and using your library card, or registering for a library card. You can always contact us. You can call us at 813-273-3652, or you can contact us online at hcplc.org/contact. If you do want to learn more about Heard 'em Say, Liz shared a lot of great information with us tonight. So there's different information for upcoming events, for registration, for those, you know, signing up to perform, finding, you know, ordering a copy of the Torch magazine. You can go to www.heardemsay.org. So Liz, we'll close out with that second poem. Do you have any closing info for us before we go to that poetry?
I think just a welcome invitation that we are always looking for new folks to join. No experience necessary. You can just show up to an open mic or even a workshop, and as long as you're bringing yourself, you are already ready to go. And so we look forward to seeing folks soon.
Very cool. Okay, we're going to go ahead and close out with that second poem from Deuce. Everybody, once again, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and we hope to see you at a program very soon.
All right, so Deuce the Black Buddha here once again. I have one of my favorite pieces called Black Soul Child, and it is near and dear to me and my experience as a Black boy in the world, and I would love to share it. Let it clap with the lightning and ring with the thunder of the soul. Your ancestors are calling you dear child. Sweet child, receive their teachings of the Most High every day when you come home. Every moment is a teachable lesson in their phantom eyes. They see through you and guide your heart to better days and better tomorrows. For you, progeny of Black excellence and Black struggle, they are watching and listening and learning. They have a message for you, dear child. Carry on, child, for days dark shall become days long gone. Our time is coming, so we beseech thee. Let your hands clap and rejoice. Praise your excellence to the sound of holy thunder. Let your soul guide you with the will and unyieldingness of lightning. Hear us, sweet child, and thrive. Live your life, grow and become part of the ancestry. Leave your loving mark in the embrace of the Queen Mother. Let your battle cry shake the foundations of what was and what will be. Your every action shall shape every reaction, till you hear them Black church bells ring and the Negro spirituals uplift thy soul. We, the ancestors, give you our blessing. You are true in your convictions, true in your feelings, and true in your love. So we say exist. Sweet child, have the freedom we have had stripped from us. You may have been programmed with gun violence, police brutality, and trauma after trauma. But by God's grace, we will rise, and we will thrive long after the dust settles. We will be here as we've always been. Queen Mother Earth smiles upon thee. She believes in you, and the All-Father and Her Majesty view all their children equally. We, the ancestors, are here for you, my child. We love you. We see you. We feel you. So we will be with you till the end of our days. Then you shall join us and help guide the next generation of Black children.